Well, I'm going to make a threaded lid box. Well, I'm going to do it with ABS, different sizes later. I wanted to do one with brass threads first. Now that's a piece of lap fitting, as is this, which is a good size. Same size, I think. Here's a smaller one. I could do that. But what I'm going to do is use this brass fittings that are suitable for gas fittings. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, reduce this down to what I need. Same thing on the lid side. And I think what I'll do is, while I could do that on the wood lathe, it's probably a little easier to do it on the metal lathe. So that's what I'm going to do. So here's the female component, just to pass through thread. We're going to make it round, then shorten it to about there. So let's grab it in the jaws. Drive it into the chuck. And a 6-sided and a 6-jaw chuck works just great. Nice and snug. And we'll put our cutting tool back in. And now we're going to get the camera back on the cutter. Because we're going to come over here. Well, we don't quite that angle. Let's come back like that. And there's our cut. And we're probably going to go about that deep. So I'm going to set my depth gauge. We're stopping it right about there. There's 0 set. Power on. Touch off. There's the touch off. Let's take a couple thousandths first cut. Just snip the corners and see how this goes. So we're making a really fine cut, and I'm going to change that to a little coarser. Otherwise we'll be here all day. So let's turn the speed down. Go to B. I'll change speed on the fly if the speed is low enough. Yeah, that's a better speed. There's the end of my cut. 5 thousandths at a time seems about right. Really close. Stop and look. Oh yeah, we're round. We're round all the way. That's fine. So now I'm going to turn my speed down to really slow. And we're going to do one more cut. So maybe 1,000. It's a very fine cut. On a slow speed just to create a fairly nice surface. Don't need it too smooth because this is going to be a glue surface. And here we come towards the end of our cut. Right there. Back it out. Pull it away. Stop. And we're going to go to a parting tool next. And maybe I'll use a different parting tool than I used last time. This one is a different shape and may vibrate a little less. So let's square it off here. Close enough. And how much do I need? Oh, that's more than enough right there. So that ought to do it. Keep my speed low. Now this tool seems to chatter far less than the other one did. And there we are. Got it. So let's see what we've got here. Pull this back away and we'll take a look. There's our thread. A little cleanup here to do. And we have our female insert. Real slow pass through here. Leave us a nice smooth inside surface that we'll be able to see. Good enough. And get out. So now what we're going to do now is just clean it up a little bit. Let me get this carrier out of the way. Reset our camera. A little zoomy here. Resume. Deburr. Let's see if I can polish a little bit here. Actually, that surface in there looks pretty nice. So now we're going to change tools and we're going to part this off right in the middle of that back thread. Actually, we're going to take it down a little bit with a parting tool to take off the back 2 or 3 threads and part it rest of the way off. So that's a tool change again. So we'll take out the boring bar. We'll insert a parting off tool, sort of like this one. And let's turn our shoe on. And I'm going to shorten those threads because I don't need that much. Very carefully. I think that's about all the threads I'm going to want, right about there. Part it off. Got to be right about there. And our part is right there. Ready to go. And a little deburring. Not a problem. Now that's the male. Well, here are the fittings. I'm going to put this in the bottom, and this piece, I want the box to be about that much bigger than it. So what I think I'm going to do, take a piece of Buckeye burl I have here, cut off a nice clean spot. Maybe all this pattern in down here. Then for the top, I'm going to insert it into the end of this piece of, hope you can see that, ebony. So I'll use this to cut our pieces off to size and glue them up to a couple of blocks for the lathe, and let's see where we go. Looks like there's a spot right there that'd be just about right. Let's cut this off first. So we got a box, we got a lid. This I'm going to have to glue up to a faceplate. Probably the same thing here. Little defect, but that'll go away. Okay, a little glue. Take a lot. We'll lay the protection here. And into our mark. Okay, back in a few minutes to do the other one. And about the ebony. Well, that was not a good cut. cut that again. It's a different ruler, maybe that'll help. That looks good. Okay. The glue on the ebony, which I have just sanded, so it doesn't have any oil on the surface at the moment. So it should glue on pretty well. To the dimple, onto the glue block. And we're going to let this one just sit here for a while until the glue dries, and then work on the bottom first. So that's coming next. Well, let's do a little turning. Probably use this gouge here. I'll just make this round first of all. And when we're knocking the corners off, I'm going to keep that up just to take a little pressure off of the glue joint. No glue flying, that's good. Okay. A little bit of shape. I think this is going to come in here a little bit. Okay, the top's going to come in more, but I'm going to size up my fitting first. That's going to look about this big around here. So that's how big the hole's going to be. So let's mark that. Take a diameter here. And we're going to make it just a smidge smaller than that. That's about the size of the hole. So let's come in here with the skew chisel and cut that out a little bit. Just checking for size. This is going to be very close. Okay, so I'm going to take the tailstock off and we're going to hollow this. Well, first of all, I want a straight edge in there, and I want a small tool that'll fit. So, how about our oval round screw? It's all about fit right now. It's a little small, that's good. I'm going to hollow and then take it back out to size. So for that, I'm going to need something that can kind of undercut. Well, allow me to get those chips out. Blow it out or knock it out. So how's it look inside? Looks pretty good. I'm going to bring this down more. But now we're going to fit the top in. And we got to open that up just ever so, well, maybe not even, just a smidge. And to do that, I'm going to go back to a nice square nose scraper here that might do the job. Good, still a little undersized. That's nice. Nice to be a little undersized. Handle square. And there we go. It's going to get glued in. And then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, I glued in the brass insert. And back on the lathe again. Looks pretty good. I'm going to clean that surface up just a little bit, and I want it rounded. So I'll take my gouge. Just a little lower. Okay, on the top. Yeah, I know there's scratches, I'll get them out. Now the bottom. Just to come into more of a ball shape. Okay, I know where the bottom's going to be. So let's put a little bit of sandpaper in there. A little shaping with 120. So let's see what she's starting to look like. Yeah, that's fine. Get a little bit of finish on here. We're going to leave all the defects in place and I'll try to fill them. It is what it is. And I think we'll be fine in here. I'm not going to go back in through the threads again. I'll end up damaging the brass. I don't want to do that. This is 220. I'll have to do more sanding when I get that base reduced a little bit more, which is right now. Smoothing in that curve. going to leave it on the faceplate while I'm putting finish on, so I can work it 2 or 3 more coats if necessary. Okay, a little Minwax wipe on poly. Get my lathe down to a really low speed. Just lay a little on top of the surface here. Yeah, the brass goes in better, blends in better. And there's that. There's the maple. And we know the Buckeye is going to take a lot of stuff in because it's so porous, and that's fine. We'll just keep loading it up as long as it wants to absorb. I can tell that by when the area goes dull. That's probably good enough. And what we're going to do is wipe that off. A little blue paper towel. Wipe off the excess. And that's where we are at the moment. And we'll go a few more coats. So there's the inside. And the brass will look okay when we get this done. Okay, lid time. Let's look at the box again to get a sense. That's about the right size for what I want. So I'm now going to work to get the threads onto a tenon here. So here's the threads that got to go in. It's going to go in a tenon. So I need to know the diameter of this tenon. And it needs to be about that big around. And about that deep. So I got 2 sets of calipers. My tenon out the side. Let's come over here. Mark off this diameter. Caliper's a little low. Well, that's really hard to see. Turn the light on. Burns out the camera lens. But it's about there, okay. And I now can see my mark. So let's reduce this down. I'm now a little high with this thing. Maybe one of these guys. So the thread will set up inside the lid as well. Let's see how we're doing. And that's just about it. Perfect. So now we need to get the diameter correct. the long way to go. Goal here is to simply take that diameter down a little bit and check it. Almost, not quite though. And do a square. That fits, and that sits just, oh yeah, that's perfect. So now a little bit of epoxy on that, and as soon as the epoxy dries, we'll come back to the lathe again. Part it off, and I'm going to show you how I reverse the threads. There we are with not too much work to be done. That's good. So let's take this off. Both pieces. We're going to mount a 4-jaw chuck. I got a piece of all thread here. Use it like a chuck. Screw our vessel on. And seat it tight here. Let's see what that runs like. Reasonable. And we'll just cut this off. Okay, got it, saved it. We're going to flatten that out. Well, that lights pretty good. And thin out this little slice of holly here. We've got a paper thin. And then we're going to put ebony on the bottom of that. The low in the center is okay. That'll do. Now we're going to stick on a piece of ebony. Okay, prepared a small disc of ebony, which we'll glue onto here. And then shape that in. So a touch of glue. Just clearly sanded that area, so it should be as oil free as we can get it. I'll get that guy centered on there. A little pressure. And we'll be back after a while to finish shaking up that base. Well, the glue's dry. So we'll go ahead and kind of shape this ebony down a little bit. I think we use a bowl gouge initially. Let's see what happens. Go out of line, we knew that. As soon as I get this running true, I probably can get just a little bit more aggressive, but it's not yet. And this tool is too heavy. So I'm going to go to a shallow fluted gouge that I just sharpened and see if I can do it with that. Seems to work a little better. Probably it, but now I think it's too thick. So we need to shorten it a bit. Slightly undercut the center. And a little bit of sanding. A little work with 220 here. A lot of blending in here too. That's good. Okay, we've got the sanding done. A little buffing here on the bottom. And let's see if we can put a couple of little decorative marks on here. I tend to normally want to do that. Take my diamond point. See if I have enough room to work. Maybe just 2 marks this time. Off of our threaded rod insert. There's the bottom. This will all blend out when we put a little bit of more finish on it. And I'll show you the piece in a little while when we get it all done. So, final box done. Ebony foot, little holly piece here, buckeye, ebony lid, brass threads. It's a better design than what I had originally